What up, good people? Back with today's reflection. And today I was reflecting on what it means to be connected to the source and understanding what your source is. What's your point of connectivity and what source are you connected to? For me, my source is God. Anytime that I'm praying, anytime that I'm reading the Bible, anytime that I'm amongst family or friends and we're talking about God and God's grace, I feel connected to the source. And anytime that I'm not in that element or that I don't have the presence of God with me or around me, then I start to feel drained. I never feel drained. And this was crazy to me to just reflect on this and say, anytime I'm praying, I never feel drained. You know, I could be in a point where I don't even feel like praying, but I do it anyway. And after the prayer, I'm more energized than when I began. And that's just the power of the source that God is for us. You know, it's kind of like our cell phones. If you keep your cell phone plugged up to the charger, then it's gonna always say 100%. No matter what, you can be watching TV on it, you can be listening to music on it, you can be talking on it. If it's connected to the charger, it's gonna say 100%. The minute you take it off the charger, no matter what, even if you're not even using it, you're just sitting it on the table, it's gonna start you losing energy. Now it loses energy faster in some ways than others, but it still loses energy. And that's the way I feel when I'm not connected to God. You know, a lot of people that grew up in church, they like to say, especially if you're going to church all the time, they like to say, we went to church 4 or 5 days a week. And they would say that like it's a bad thing. But, you know, if we think about it, we should want to be in church 7 days a week. You know, we should always want to be connected to the source. For some reason, the world has made us believe or think that, you know, you only can go to church once or 2 times a day, or 2 times a week, rather. But we should always want to be in the presence of God. You know, Jesus and the disciples, they was always in the presence of God. They was always doing God's work. You know, if they wasn't healing people and preaching and testifying, then they were praying. If they wasn't praying, then they were in church, in the temple, reading the Bible. And so, you know, we got to get back connected to the source and never unplug.